And I'm Ariel Hyatt. And in this series of sound advice, Carla and I are walking you through our new book, The Musician's Roadmap to Facebook and Twitter.
You know, Ariel, I was thinking that most musicians, I'd say 90% of most musicians interact with their fans in the same way when there's actually 3 different types of communities. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So in the beginning of the book, to set it up and to give you some real foundation as to why you should be doing social media to begin with, because let's admit, it takes away from your social time in the real world.
Right.
It takes away from your creative time
Definitely.
of writing, rehearsing, and making music. It takes away from almost everything that you set out to do with your musical career in the first place. And we're not saying that's fair, but we are saying that you can do it right and create real engaged tribes and fans. So the first thing you need to do is think about your fan base online and the people who are following you, not as one big lumped together group of people, but as 3 very separate communities. So community number 1 is what I call superfans.
Ah, super fans.
Superfans are people who really, really know who you are. You've definitely met them in person. They comment on everything you say on Facebook. They tweet back at you whenever you say something funny. They're your friends.
And also, would you say that those are the fans that would come to your shows too?
Absolutely. Those are your live audience for sure. Back in the day, most of your fans were super fans because we didn't have social media back in the day.
Right.
Community number 2 is engaged fans. Those are people who maybe every 20th or 30th thing you post, you hear from them. Maybe once a month, maybe 4 or 5 times a year. These are people who you definitely know their name. You would probably recognize them. They're not diehard fans. They're not coming to every show, but they're definitely people that are engaged in your community.
Oh, okay. And then there's another group too?
And then there's a whole other group. And this is really a social media phenomenon. The New York Times, about 18 months ago, coined a term that I love, and they called it ambient awareness. And this is how they defined how we're all connected online. So it's following someone and maybe tuning into their tweets or their Facebook status updates, but you've never met them, you're probably not really good friends with them, you're just ambiently aware of who they are.
So that's how I know about this guy that has a new motorcycle, because it's his picture. I don't know him, but I see him.
Exactly. And that's how I found out about, I don't know, like someone had a baby or someone got married. I mean, they're maybe not best friends of mine on Facebook, but I catch a status update once in a while. I'm ambiently aware of them.
Wow. So how do you interact with them differently, and how do you get them to move up in the up in your hierarchy of fans?
Right. So an ambient fan is not going to be interested when you say, hey, come buy my stuff. Hey, come check me out. Hey, come to a show. Because they're not even in the group that would care. What an ambient fan is going to want is good content. Are you sharing something funny, something witty, something that they would want to pass on to others? Are you sharing a video that makes them laugh? Are you sharing a blog post that's useful or interesting to them? Once you start sharing content that they can sink their teeth into, they will begin to move from community 3, which is ambient fan, into community 2, which is a more engaged fan.
I see.
And so an engaged fan is much more likely to respond to, come check me out, come stream my music, come to a show, because they already know who you are.
I see. So you're basically giving them just different levels of interest, and you're giving them different levels of communication, and then you're pulling them into your web.
Yeah, basically. That's exactly it. So your super fan, like one of my super fans, she's one of my best friends. I've known her since I'm 2 years old. Literally every post I do on Facebook, she's always chiming in and making a comment because she's a really good friend. I mean, I wouldn't say she's a fan. I think on social media we tend to merge fans and friends. But these are my greatest supporters. These are people who, when I put out a new book, they're going to tell everyone about it. These are people who, will come see you play. They'll come to the venue. They'll show up. They'll tell their friends to come. These are the fans that will pay for things over and over again. And so it's, again, getting engaged fans into the super fan level, getting ambient fans into the engaged fan level. How do you do that? Through being interesting, through being useful, through being funny, through being helpful. I mean, everybody has their own style on social media. Mm-hmm. Some people, provide very, very specific uses, and that goes by your personality. You can't say what to do or how to be. Mm-hmm. You have to go with what works for you.
Excellent. That's great advice.
Thank you.
Sound advice.
So come check out our new book, Musician's Roadmap to Facebook and Twitter.
Your complete guide to getting liked, followed, and heard.
And we'll see you on the next episode.
Listen carefully. I'll say it